All right, guys, I'm back with another episode of converting my self-serve car wash bay to an automatic car wash. And I'm inside my mechanical room right here where I need to regain some space in order to fit the big automatic car wash pump stand. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to retire this old boiler here. It's been in since 1993 and it's been old and reliable, but I need the floor space right here. So I'm going to convert it over to two tankless water heaters, which are going to be wall mount up here on the wall. So real quick, we're going to run out in the bay. I'll show you this automatic car wash and we'll come in here. We'll get our demo tools out and we'll cut this thing out and get it out of here. Okay, so back behind me here, this is the pump stand that needs to go in place of where that boiler was. So you can see it about takes up that same footprint as that boiler is. And then outside here, just so you can see that I'm at a car wash and not just some shop somewhere. This is the car wash that we're working on. And this end bay right here is the PDQ Laserwash 360 Plus. That's the unit I'm putting in. If you go back to the previous episode, you can see how much I paid for that whole unit, what the plan is, all the upgrades we're going to be talking about. But today is all boiler system and conversion over to these tankless units. So let's get started. Safety first. Let's go down to hot H2O boiler. Flip our power off. And then before I rip this thing out, I'll go over how this system works. And the new one's going to be a little different. Right now, this is cold water only feeding all of the tanks here. And as the water goes down, because the pump stands are pulling water, then it just refills itself with that, basically a toilet flow. And then you got two suctions on the bottom, one going to the pump stand, and then one going to this circulation pump, which comes out down here. Don't mind the rust on this tank, it needs rebuilt. And then into the boiler, and then back into this tank. So essentially this is just the hot water holding tank and then boiler system. But we're gonna cut both those off and then feed it directly with just hot water through this float. She's out of here. Whole thing's loose, as you can see. Got the gas line disconnected. The power cord disconnected here. Kind of seems like a shame to throw away 12-inch flue piping, but I think we got our money's worth after 30 years. Now the plan right here is to, my electrician's gonna come tomorrow and clean up the conduit that's right here. We're gonna move this transformer and outlet and wheat miser up above, and then clear some space above these water tanks to mount this stuff. I thought about going up there above the water softeners kind of and mounting it up there, but that's just too high. I'd like to be able to at least access the controls and service them, because you do need to flush these tankless units once a year, they say. I try to do it 6 months since we're high volume at a car wash, but between 2 tankless units and all the hardware here were at least $1,500 a piece there. So $3,000 into this project already. And then we're going to cascade the units is what they call it. So we need a communication cable between the 2 units. And then I imagine we're going to be another $1,000 or better in copper piping and fittings to restructure how this is being ran. But yeah, that's it. So let's jump to when the electricians got all this taken care of. Just like that, we're done. I'm not gonna video and go into a ton of detail on the installation of these tankless units, because I already made a video where I went into a lot of detail about how to install them and everything. But something that's different about this installation is that I'm using 2 units instead of 1. And that video where I installed that one, I'm gonna put up on the screen right here. But I am gonna common vent the two units together, which means they're gonna use the same vent piping to go out and through the roof. And so I got these kits where it comes with, it's called a common vent kit, but you can see that little flapper in there prevents any backflow from one unit to the other. So that kit also comes with a communication cable and this little bypass cable right there. And it is part number 300-14367B. I'll put it in the notes of the video. And then, of course, this is the Navien branded isolation valves. They're going to go up underneath right here. But you definitely want to use an isolation valve when you install, because it has this little service port so you can flush these tanks. Once a year, you're supposed to flush them. So that's it. One more thing I want to add into this video. I don't know if it comes off like this or not, but I obviously don't know everything about car washes, and I'm figuring out them as I go. I've owned this site for a little over a year, and something I've never been able to figure out is how this boiler was being activated, because there was no thermostat in the tank here that was crossing over, no wire. Like I say, no thermostat is what I was looking for, telling this boiler to fire because the temperature of the water had dropped or something. And so what me and my electrician figured out was that each one of these pumps, I'm going to turn the camera around. Inside my electrical cabinets here, each of these contactors, it runs one of the motors below it for each bay. So this is a bay right here, and this is a bay right here. Well, coming into the contactor, you have 3 legs for your 3-phase power that feeds the motor down into here. And then it had this 4th leg. And what I found out is that that 4th leg, when this contactor is depressed, the pump, turns on, obviously. But then you've got this 4th one right here, which is a blue wire that comes up and goes back up into all this conduit here. And as we started chasing wires around and opening up junction boxes, there was one more piece of conduit that we've now removed that ran over here, and it was kind of in our way, and I'm glad we were able to get it out and remove it. But it ran over to this junction box and then down over to here, and that's what was telling the boiler to fire up. And so, mystery solved. Whenever a high pressure pump, I think it's a really cool way of doing it. I just didn't understand it before. Whenever a pump is running, that's when the boiler is activated, which makes sense. The pump's running, so it's drawing water, so we're heating the water. But I never could figure that out, and I finally solved the problem. Well, it was never a problem, but I solved the mystery. And so, just in case that helps anybody else out, there's little just nuances about every little car wash. And as you can see, all these electrical cabinets have that 4th leg right there, which was a blue wire which went up there. So super happy to have that figured out and be able to eliminate some conduit and get this all fitted in here. It's gonna be tight, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, I hope you all are ready for this. We fast forward quite a bit, actually. And if you look closely, there's quite a few changes, actually. So here we are, all mounted up. Electrician actually went ahead and put the unistrut in for me, hung the water heaters. I went ahead and did the gas lines and a whole bunch of soldering as well. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you step by step what was done. First thing you're gonna notice is we accomplished our goal of making space for the automatic. The way we did that was this has actually slid over about 12 inches because I took the bay that we're putting the automatic in and I chopped it off. So this used to be 2 pumps with a motor here and a bracket here. As you can see, we cut it right out of there, and then I slid this whole tank down. Well, that meant that all of my water manifolds there had to be redone. So up here in the corner, this used to be a 90 degree fitting. And I put a T on it and ran this new line to the left right there, over and down. And I teed in that fitting right there that's gonna feed the automatic pump stand. I mean, we need a lot of water for as big as that big old pump is right there. And then it comes down and it feeds these two tankless water heaters, which are mounted up and have a communication wire in between that communicates with each other. And then they each run out hot water down from this one, hot water down from that one, and they come together right here. So this from that one there, and it feeds my rinse tank. So inside of here, we have rinse water and then all the chemicals. So the chemicals I kept on just a cold water supply. So it comes in and feeds all these. And I already mentioned earlier that I bring in my own gas line. Oh, and then we can't forget this. Not quite finished here. But let's jump up there and see that. Okay, so these are both intake. These are exhaust, as you can read right there. There's an exhaust off each water heater, and I have them common vented together. So they're each running into a 3-inch PVC pipe and over and out the roof. And then I got a condensation loop. This is graded so that any condensation in this pipe goes to that corner, and then anything in the vertical pipe goes down there, and then that drops down into a drain right here. What's interesting about connecting two units together and cascading them, how they call it, is that you have to buy these kits that prevent backflow. So I don't want the exhaust coming out of this one into this pipe and then down into this unit. And so these are basically check valves. If you're in the car wash space, you know what a check valve is. And then these are both intakes. And I'm going to continue this intake all the way out the building. And I'm going to pull fresh air in. It was recommended to me just because I have all these chemicals down there. And so you got just weird things going on. And then we also got like a heater in here. So they said it would be better to have fresh air for these units. But they're pretty awesome. We can pull the plastic off these guys. And as you can see, I have them set at 105 degrees each. And I know from experience that those are way oversupplying what I need to run these pumps. But I definitely wanted to overdo it and not underdo it. So, coming up is financials. But coming up in some more future videos is a sneak peek at our paneling. Well, the sneak peek's right now, and also the framing we did for the automatic. And I'll have doors going in there soon. We'll do a video on that. And the paintwork's done. So it's starting to look really good. This renovation project is gonna definitely pay off, I think. Okay, now for the financials. This is a series of videos, and so we're creating a cumulative total of everything that's gone into this project. And so the first part of the project, phase 1, was getting the new automatic and getting it delivered on site. And that was $50,250. And now, so far, in this phase of the project, the plumbing phase, I bought a whole bunch of copper for about $1,200 into 1.5-inch copper valves, solder, all that stuff, gas. And then another $300 into gas fittings. I'm installing all this stuff myself, guys. So we're just talking materials only. I mentioned earlier in the video the cost of the water heaters. They're about $1,300 each. And then there's a bunch of other just miscellaneous parts. I don't know if you've ever done a plumbing project before, but you end up going to the supply house, Home Depot, wherever you go, like a gazillion times. You're never going to finish until you have every last fitting. Between all of that stuff, we are another $4,700 into plumbing with 2 new tankless water heaters, which is pretty dang good. If you know how to do plumbing and gas lines and those types of things, that's a dang good price to come out at. So between phase 1 and phase 2, adding those together, I'm gonna do the math in my head real quick. We got 50,250 plus 4,700, so that would be $54,950 so far. Let's call it 55,000 into this renovation project, and the goal is to be at under 200,000 by the time it's all said and done. There's a lot of costs going into lighting, which is something that's going to be coming up in a video or two from now. We got a lot of wiring actually ran for that already, so I'm going to go through and film all that, and then the grand finale will be flipping those lights on with brand new glossy white panels and just reflecting, trying to get as much of the street eyes and eyeballs out of this traffic that we got behind us right here, and drawing a bunch of attention to ourselves to get the customers in the bays. So with that, guys, that's a wrap on episode 2, the plumbing phase of our self-serve to automatic car wash update.